What is up, you guys? Today we're going to talk about the Joe Rogan Podcast and Spotify. For those of you who do not know, Joe Rogan just signed a multi-year long deal to give the rights to his entire podcast, to his entire library. And starting in September, the entire podcast will only be able to be used and listened to on Spotify. And obviously Spotify stock has soared since that news, up almost 20% now in 2 days. So in this video, we're going to go over the details of the whole Joe Rogan news going to Spotify. We're going to talk about, is Spotify a good buy right now? Is it time to get puts? We're going to go over all of that. So first, let's actually look at the news of Joe Rogan signing. This is from BBC News. It says Joe Rogan signs with Spotify in a major and exclusive podcast deal. Now, this is crazy important before we actually get into what's going on with the specifics of this, because Howard Stern did this, if you guys don't know, with XM Radio. So before that, he could do whatever he wanted. He could put it on YouTube. He could put it anywhere. But now, I think for the past couple of years, Howard Stern signed a deal to only have his content on XM Radio with Sirius, which is kind of crazy. And you have to think, right, with YouTube ad revenue, not only with podcasts do they get paid quite a bit more than normal YouTube videos because they have a lot longer watch time. He has to be making a lot of money per podcast. I would estimate around $30,000 to $100,000 per podcast. Like that Elon Musk podcast probably made him $100,000 in gross. So that means if he's putting out 5 to sometimes 10 podcasts a week, because he also has the MMA podcast, he's got to be making a lot of money with YouTube. Now, for a guy like Joe, going over to Spotify as a creator makes a lot of sense because YouTube regulates a lot about what people can say. And Joe probably really doesn't care too much about that. He's one of the most authentic human beings I've ever seen speak, or really any human I've ever, wouldn't say I've met Joe, but any human I've ever really seen. He's the most authentic person. That's kind of what I try to do in my own stock market world and realm. So that's very important to me. And I think that going over to Spotify from a creator standpoint is a really good idea because they're not going to have as many different loopholes for him to jump through. He's probably going to have, not that he could be even more authentic, but he's probably not going to have to deal with YouTube maybe demonetizing a couple of his videos because of him cursing, because of the different people he brings on. And I think that from a creator standpoint, it's a really good thing for him to do. But let's get into this article. So Joe Rogan has signed an exclusive deal with Spotify, which will see his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, disappear from all other platforms. The multi-year deal is believed to be worth $100 million, according to the Wall Street Journal. Joe Rogan's podcast, which is one of the most popular in the world, will arrive to the streaming giant on September 1st and will be housed there exclusive by the end of the year. This is the most important part, and removed from all other platforms. That's crazy. Joe said it will remain free. It will be the exact same show. It's just a licensing deal. So Spotify won't have any creative control over the show, which is really important and really good. They just want me to continue doing things the way that I am right now. I'm excited to have support of a large audio platform in the world, and I hope you guys are happy when we make the switch. Now, that is really, really important because, as of now, everything's the same. You can really probably check it out on YouTube until September, and then there's going to be specific. I don't know if he's going to continue to put out content on YouTube, but the content that he already has out will be on YouTube. And his entire library, dating back to his first episode, will be on YouTube as well. But then it will all be pushed over to Spotify. And one of the most important things is that as the end of the year comes, it will be gone on YouTube entirely, which is crazy. That is the real money maker for Spotify. And so when you have people like me who don't have Spotify, I have YouTube Red primarily because I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast every day, and I'm driving. I want to keep the podcast on in the background. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to switch. I'm going to go over to Spotify. I love Joe Rogan. I love supporting him. I hate YouTube Music, and that's part of YouTube Red. So I'm definitely going to be making the switch over to Spotify. This is a huge deal for a company like Spotify now to be getting not only exclusive rights to podcasts in general, but the biggest podcast next to Impulsive, which is Logan Paul's podcast, the biggest podcast in the world right now. That is crazy. I'm so happy for Joe, but let's take a look at the stock. Let's actually look at Spotify. Obviously, this is huge news for Spotify, and I would say that this big rip in the stock is not unwarranted. I think that it really does make sense for the stock to move this way, because it's a huge deal. It really is. This is not something, in my opinion, that is blown out of proportion. Yes, is it overbought? Would I invest in this right now? No. Would I get puts on this? We'll talk about that in a minute. But this really is such a big deal for a company like Spotify, and moving into the future with maybe securing other huge podcasters onto their platform and taking them away from YouTube. Like if they were to sign with Impulsive and bring Impulsive over there, if they were to get other big podcasts that are out there. I don't know too many because I really only listen to like Joe Rogan and Brendan Schaub and some Logan Paul. If they were to take these big people and bring them over to Spotify, that would be huge for a company like that. Now, let's take a look out. Let's go 3 years out. Obviously, this company does not even have 3 years worth of charting because they IPO'd back in April of 2019. So this company has only been, public for the past year, which is really crazy. And we hit a high right up here of $198, right after the IPO, maybe about 2 or 3 months afterwards. Then we had a huge spill, and then we've been bouncing within this channel. If we take a look at the daily, actually very quickly, let's draw a trend line right here. And this will be our resistance. So let's take a look at the daily. I think we're probably going to get back up to 200 off of this news because, like I said, it's not just that it's Joe Rogan. Obviously, that's amazing, but it's what they're doing and it's what the future of the company could do by bringing on these big podcasters and making it only part of Spotify. So right now, if you want to get into Spotify, if you're looking at the next 10 years as a long-term investment, I don't think this is a bad time to get in if you're looking at 10 years and you know that you're overpaying. If you're looking to get in for the next 3 to 5 years, I personally am not buying in right now. If it was maybe 150 and this news came out, maybe if it ripped from 110 to 150, possibly, but I am not going to be getting this long term. They're a great company. They're still a speculative company in my opinion, but it's way too overinflated at this price right now. So if it pulls back in the future, I will definitely get in. I would really like to have this as part of my portfolio, but I'm not going to get in at this price right now. It really just doesn't make sense. Now, what a lot of my students have been asking me, is it time to get puts? And I really think that it's not the time to do this right now. We can see with a lot of times when something goes parabolic like this, we talked about in the video yesterday about Tesla when we first had this big move up. We talked about BYND when it had its first move up. And if we look at Spotify, in my opinion, I'm not going to try to time the downward move on something like this. This easily could push another 5% up to resistance of 200. Maybe if it hits 200 and we get a red day, your first red day is what you want to wait for when we see something go parabolic like this and we want to time the downward trend and the reversal. Maybe if we get a red day, then I would, but I'm not touching this yet. I want to see where this goes. I want to see how high we can push. I want to see the volume get pulled out of it. I want to see more of a reason to get into this position as a put rather than, it's overvalued, because there's a lot of times stocks are overvalued and they don't go down. And the stock market, like we said yesterday and all the time, the stock market can be irrational longer than you can keep your money. And so for me, I'm not going to be taking a position on this. Probably anytime soon. Maybe if we push up, we hold here on this resistance line, then I would look at it. For any of you guys who don't know how to look at charts, how to read charts like we are right now, I do have a private stock market academy. It's $30 a month. You get access to over 55 hours worth of lectures and courses. You also get access to the private Discord where me and all of our traders go live. We have 209 traders right now. It's amazing, guys. Thank you. We go live every single morning for 1 hour when the stock market opens. I go over what I'm trading, what I'm looking at, why I'm looking at it, and I answer your guys' question. It's a great community to be a part of. I will put the link down below. But in short, guys, this is amazing for Joe Rogan. This is great for Spotify as a company. I would not be investing long-term at this price right now. I still think it's a little overpriced. I would not be trying to time any puts right here. We still have, about another $12 move until I see some heavy resistance. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think this was a dumb move by Spotify, if you think it was a dumb move on Joe Rogan's part, if you're going to be buying Spotify, if you're going to be buying the stock, if you're going to actually be a consumer of Spotify. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Comment down below. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps. And I'll see you guys next time.